I'd like to hear a little bit from Klaus, particularly with his expertise, as to what the state of translation is, for example, on the continent, perhaps with specific reference to Germany, in comparison with how you feel the health thermometer of translation of children's books is in the UK.
The number of translations published in Britain has gone down. And the reason why it has gone down is, I think, there are several reasons. First of all, we have less support from the library. The libraries have less money to spend. And the librarians were the discerning readers that bought the translations that we published in the 60s or 70s. When I started in Britain in the 60s, I published a lot of translations, and I gained this sort of reputation of, oh yeah, go to Klaus, you know, that's a strange foreign book that he might want to publish. The other reason is, of course, that there's so much good literature being published in England and, of course, in America. So if you can't find anything in Britain, you go to buy something in America to make up your list. But there is still an insularity here, and as the library funds have been reduced over the years, it's up to the general public to buy books in paperback. I know there has been a reduction in translations published here compared to France, Germany, or any other country on the continent, or indeed elsewhere in the world, because we have, of course, this abundance of books. And most people nowadays, if they are well educated, speak English. So the English, of course, the British publishers have a decided advantage. When we go to Bologna, everybody comes to us, but hardly anybody goes and looks at books from Turkey or Israel. You know. But that's another fact. But you will find that in Germany, even though it's now the most, I suppose, populated country, or the German language, certainly if you include Austrian and Switzerland and so on, there are over 80 million. And and they have a healthy book trade, because people do actually, I think, buy books for their children. Here, of course, they have been conditioned to go to the library and get their book free of charge. So, you know, the urge to buy a book for your grandchild or for your niece or whatever is not as prevalent here as it is on the continent.
You'll always hear the 3% stat, and it's a very tedious one, and it gets raised at every translation gig, that basically in the UK, out of what gets published every year, approximately 3% has come from another language. Interestingly, out of that, probably about 1% will be literature, as we know it, as opposed to works of, sort of technical works, non-fiction works, scientific works, and so forth. My understanding is that in France, it's about 23 to 30% that will be translated out of another language. In Germany, it goes up to about 40%, and in Slovenia, it goes up to about 70%. So you have this sort of sliding scale, and various fairly obvious reasons for that. I think it's not all depressing. There is this problem of globish that Klaus is referring to, this kind of hungry carnivore that just wants to turn everything into a version of the English language. The one positive side on that is that if a work is translated into English, its chances of being translated out into a range of other languages is massively increased. And that's perhaps particularly relevant with some of the smaller languages.